different direction here from DRX, because I would love a 5-game series. I think
Yeah.
really, it's just because it'd be really fun. You know, we're having a great time, Feldas.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that these two teams are very evenly matched, and that's part of the reason why, although, you know, the games are crazy, and I think the teams could be playing safer a little bit. I think the fact that they're so evenly matched also makes it a very close and exciting series, as we are just not going to see Fate playing LeBlanc today. It's just not going to happen.
Ties into what the coach said as well at the beginning of the day. Right? He's like, yeah, Fate's our most important player. As we look at 3 mid lane bans.
Yeah, same as game 2 here. And a little bit of a change this time around, which of course will leave the Hecarim wide open for Pyoshi.
Oh, that's 100% getting picked. What?
Whoa, what?
That'd be wild.
I thought we were just going to keep making that noise until he locked it in. Lee Sin!
That's not Hecarim.
Yeah, this is very interesting to see Pyoshi do this.
Okay, so Nautilus is going to get picked up. It's the only question for me is it going to be Hecarim, or is Kwangdong going to say, no, I mean, we don't actually care about Hecarim, which I'm on board with this. I don't think Elam is a great Hecarim player. I'd much rather see Monzinzo. I think the pick suits him way better. Has a good matchup into Lee. He's played this matchup countless times. Instead of trying to force Elam onto a more carry, farm-heavy jungler, I'd personally be extremely happy to see the early pickup here of the Xin. Volibear, I think, was okay. Game 2 didn't really give a good representation, but loving this opening from Kwangdong. Very much in line with how they usually play. Hoyt keeps getting his Nautilus, and that does open up.
Oh boy.
The Akali, yeah.
And the Xayah. So Deft is going to play, if I'm correct on this, his 4th game of Xayah in a row.
Yes.
4 games of Xayah. I mean, that's...
Is it the MF lock-in here?
I mean, Atlas was just talking about how he is not a Xayah one-trick, but I suppose in this series, maybe he is.
That must be the read from DRX here. Kwangdong, I was kind of waiting for the MF pickup, but they might want to get it banned so that they can just lock in a Jinx later as well. I have a couple of good options there. And the Vex for Fate here, still getting a comfortable matchup. Now, do keep in mind, this Akali is flexible. But if that's going to be the case, you're going to find out beforehand anyway, right? And that's the one nice thing. Kwangdong will then be able to R5 a counter as Jinx getting taken off the board there. Not surprising after the previous game.
Yeah. Take away the Jinx here. Wonder what else they are going to ban away on their side. I mean, they already take away the Rakan away from the Rakan Xayah lane, so the Leona this time will get banned. I remember we had a very similar pick ban in game 1 where they banned the Lee Sin instead, but obviously with the Lee Sin pick, they're going to go with the next support ban. Down the tier list almost.
I guess it would be an MF ban, but it's also possible that they don't identify the pick as a huge problem. Would lead me to believe that we're going to see the R4 MF here picked up again. Works very nicely, a lot of wombo combo potential, right? Both LM and Fate have good setup for a possible ultimate. Nautilus is pretty self-explanatory, we've seen it happen a lot previously. The one downside of this is that barring the MF, playing into the Xayah is somewhat of a risk, and this is a basic setting we haven't seen previously, and my guess is that the MF into specifically Lee and Akali is going to feel very, very unsafe. It's a pick that definitely can get punished for mispositions, and that's a lot harder with the Aphelios, where if you don't execute the engage perfectly, Aphelios will eat you alive and use you for sustenance, as he so does. Wow. But this is so short range. The Gragas pick here is great because it also keeps away the option for Kwangdong to go for a Jace pick, which I think ideally is what you pick here to kind of bolster some of the range issues that you do have. but it does run into Keen's Gnaw, and if you throw a Gnaw into this, it's one of the most Kwangdong comps I've ever seen. Short range, it's brawly, has a lot of team fighting power. For DRX, we still need to pick up support for barrier. Renata is still available, and that is very good into short range compositions. And we'll get picked up here.
Well, there you go. Perfect call right as it gets locked in. It's now the top lane up against Gragas. What are we going to see from Keen? He just absolutely smurfed it in the last game. Maybe that gives him a little bit of a leash to play something a little bit more risky. Like an Urgot, I guess.
Okay.
Alrighty then.
I'm on board with this.
Okay, okay.
The crab's back.
Yeah.
And they had this one ready. And in the now fourth game, it's been Kwangdong, I think, that has been pushing the edge in terms of draft, actually having a lot of counter picks prepared here. The MF was a success in game 1, didn't quite get it done in game number 2, but definitely wasn't the problem. Now the Urgot coming through here. I've casted a fair share of Urgot games. There was a Challenger one trick, or Challengers Urgot one trick that we had. Yeah. He was okay. That wasn't amazing. Used all the Hullbreaker very well, but of course Hullbreaker nerfed on range, and Urgot, as much as he might not always, feels like it, still a ranged character. So what the build is going to be is something that I'm going to be looking forward to. Of course, Black Cleaver, Titanic Hydra, these items remain very strong on the pick. For DRX, very well on the comp. A lot of hard engage, a lot of disengage, a lot of backline threat, but somewhat reminiscent of game number 1, where I don't really see how it meshes together yet. Might see that better once we get into the game.
Yeah, your range amounts to Xayah, Feathers, and the Gragas as well. You have a lot of mobility, obviously, and ability to get into backlines with the Akali and Lee Sin. So excited to see how that one goes as well. As we're ready to jump onto the Rift for game number 4. And of course, as we highlighted before, guys, whoever does win this series, T1 is first seed, so they get to select who they will face off against. Damwon Kia already won the other side of the bracket, so they get to choose between Damwon Kia and the winner of this series. So we're expecting T1 to choose the winner of this series. And I don't know, right now it looks like Kwangdong Freaks are in a great spot. The mental blow that the guys were talking about on the carpet space, I think, is very true. It was a slow, grindy game towards the end of that, and it felt kind of inevitable eventually that Keen and Teddy were going to bop you in that late game, and they did. And so, excited to see if DRX can actually fight back in this series.
Keen going for the free footwork here. Triumph, last stand, nothing too shocking there. Also going for conditioning, which, you know, we love that rune. That's a great rune. Good pick up there, Keen. Very, very nice. King opting into Comet. So looking for a more punish-oriented gameplay. Expecting to see another hybrid play come through here as Urgot's level 1 is really
King's like, oh, I guess we're just going to have the friendly, like, say hello emote thing, right? Haha. King's like, no, I'm going to put you in the dumpster.
I'm the crab. Yeah, don't try that level 1 against Urgot. That's not... I've seen my fair share of Urgot's all-ins level 1.
It's been almost an entire year, and guess who played it last? It was Lord Morgan in a win against Nongshim Rich. Rich, of course, doing very well over in the LPL at the moment. But yeah, almost an entire year since we've seen this pick.
Wow, only a week.
Yeah.
1 week.
1 week.
The perfect... why do we have to have the consolidated schedule?
I know.
Could have been perfect.
Could have been perfect. I think I was calling for this pick, like, at the end of last year sometime. Like, it was very not... This is, like, not something we see, which is why it has been an entire year, right? But I kind of like it. I think defensively, especially against some of the choices like an Akali, like a Lee Sin, who jump into you, Urgot just laughs at you, flips you over his back, and you die. So, like, it has a lot of utility into some of the picks on the side of DRX, and as we can obviously see early on against the Gragas, can also be quite annoying in the lane. So I'm glad that we do get to see it back. I'm excited to see what kind of performance, especially a player like Keen, can give this champion, and see if it can give it a chance to come back in the meta.
And the Urgot, as especially weirdly enough, we had way back in the day we had the Urgot and Aatrox, right? And they kind of, even to this day, feel somewhat similar, as Pyosik is going to get the sneaky pick away here. And should just be a trade of the crabs here. This time around, Elm is a little bit slower, but Urgot feels very reminiscent of Aatrox, where if you can get into a skirmish from a flank or from the right position, and you can get an early pick-off with your ultimate, you win the fight, like, immediately. You don't get resets, but the Fear is such a powerful tool, and oh, that is a clean angle here.
It's such a massive backstop, and he's not even gonna need it.
What?
He's not even gonna need him. And this is the pressure you can put on. Kingen is clearly not well-versed right now, and is not handling this lane, and Keen looks like he's in his best form that we have seen. So awesome to see this out of Keen, the player, as now Hoyt has taken a ton of damage. And that is going to be a good trade now to Deft and Barrel, who get angry.
And they need to. Bot lane is going extremely well for DRX. Of course, this wave needs to get picked up. Teddy does have Infernum, and they're able to salvage most of this, but they desperately are looking for a back. Hope that Alum can provide them some respite. What has been a very hard lane here thus far, with a huge lead being found by Deft and Barrel, as expected, right? The Renata we've seen a lot into Nautilus. And honestly, that 1v1 is really big. First pickaxe, again, my expectation would be that you go for a Titanic Hydra early. Even with the nerfs, maybe he wants to go for the early hull breaker. The coal pickup is, of course, extremely strong. Gonna allow you to freely scale, especially if you already have a lead. And I'm gonna be keeping a close eye on this crab as the game develops. And Teddy and Hoyt are just gonna be left to their own devices here.
They know. Teddy. They know that Pyosik is up here on the top side, as now the 2v2 coming into effect. Sonic Wave lands, and Ellen is just running him down the river. He's
still going.
Still running him down the river.
Just keep running. Yeah. Just keep running. Just keep running, as Teddy is gonna be. Are they gonna?
Hoyt is still here, and so is Pyosik. So I mean, not the easiest dive, and Hoyt will back away on that one.
No, we let this one go.
Deft is coming in for the gank, and he will just push him away. So not much to amount from that. You see Kwangdong Freaks trying to take a very proactive play in the mid lane, but not much amounts of it.
I respect it.
And okay, you're gonna spot him in there, but it is 3v2 for the moment. Zeka though level 6, so has the ability to get on over. As here we go, they're trying to get on top of Lee Sin, and the burst damage is insane from their side, but Deft comes in first. Teddy now finally gonna come on in here. The huge blade caller from Deft, but it's not enough. It is way too aggressive, and Zeka will get the 1 kill for DRX, but everything else goes into the pockets of the Kwangdong Freaks as they take a huge win in the fight.
And that's so big for Kwangdong. Teddy in a lane where he was struggling, now picking up a double kill. As we take another look at this play, it is just the classic, the Urgot play, right? Buffers, Hizzy, then goes for the flash. And not a quick enough response coming through from King. And this is what, the second time we've seen Hoyt do this. I think he did it in game number 1 as well. Then it was Pyosik on the Viego. And once the resets come through,
we got a trade on live. It looks like 1v2. Kingen is standing up to them. He's level 7 against Pyosik's level 5. The caskets, the barrel is not going to land, but they have vision of him, and the knock into the wall with the body slam will be enough.
That was cleanly played from DRX. If there would have been a kill for Keen, I think that might have been game over right there. But instead, they crucially get a kill, slowly halt, at least to a certain extent, the lead that this top lane was able to pick up. There is the Tiamat, so is going to go as expected into a Titanic first here, or at the very least pick up some components for it. But still, like that bot side play, one when you look at that as DRX, yes, you're prior on depth, but crucially, you need to actually have him there. And no one can get hard engaged and then immediately die. In Pioshik, it's exactly the same story as it was in game number 1.
Yeah, definitely is. And now, I mean, they're using this so well. Like, you take an early lead on the bottom side of the map, so get aggressive. Start taking some buffs away. Start taking some jungle, some vision, and Ellen and Hoyt are able to do that exactly right. As Ellen doesn't have smite, but it doesn't seem to matter. And yeah, it's just going to be a nice little position for them at the moment. It's going to ease some of the pressure off the bottom lane too, as Teddy was able to pick up 2 kills. And he's just going to ult them. Just do a bunch of damage here with the Moonlight Vigil. Not much else, not able to land that caliber Q.
Not too much. Guardian mostly taking care of that one. He's trying to force out some threat, of course, as more items get finished. Plays like that become more and more threatening. And even with that kill on top side, rest assured, Kingen is going to respect the crab and not get into any funny business here. Teddy is alone, no teleports available, so possible dive angle is something that I think DRX would like to look towards. It's just a 3 versus 2, and Fate,
Wait knows.
He reads the play.
Wait knows. And there's Fate coming in as well, and Pioshik's going to be hooked out of this one. The Q is on Teddy, though, and the flash forward, yes, he will get the kill. Onto him, and here comes the Shadow Surge. Fate trying to go 1v3, and he will get 3v1'd. Down he goes, double kill for Pioshik, as he's able to turn it around with an aggressive play.
The uh-oh was accurate. I was just wrong. For who? As it's Fate that got blown up. Really nice blade caller there from Deft. Able to immediately zone out, not giving Fate the opportunity to actually get his damage off there. And we take another look at this one, and the immediate setup here. Yeah, a little bit more damage there on Kingen, and that Fear Beyond Death leads Keen to what probably will be a double kill. Instead, they wait it out, play it slowly, no need to take any risks, and even then, Pioshik almost dies. And this was actually kind of fine. I mean, obviously, Teddy dies, which is unfortunate, but it was looking pretty good.
And then
a handshake, a set of feathers, and a dead Vex.
Yeah, I mean, right now, Fate doesn't have a completed item. And the Vex plays that we've seen out of players like Faker, like Tovi, you know?
Oh, again.
This is not going to amount to much. But yeah, I mean, the Vex is not really in position to make those plays right now. And we've seen it happen before with Zeka TPing in with the Destiny with the TF. Already in the series. As Kwangdong Freaks, they are going to get started onto this Drake now, who will be the first of the game.
Also, crucially, while there was a really big pickup for DRX, there is a Rift Herald that went over to Kwangdong, so they picked up, in trade for that, a Rift Herald and a Drake as well. Still, in the short term, obviously favoring DRX, and Pioshik gets a ton of dueling power that he can use. One-tap potential on someone like Teddy as well, especially without the flash available. But the flip side of that is that if a Herald is thrown down to, for example, Keen, and he cashes out his call, that top side will be unsustainable, I do think. We have a situation developing here in mid.
Yeah, a little bit of a situation on our hands, but Zeka reads the play, backs away. And with that Rift Herald, they're trying to drop it mid, actually, and give some of this gold over to Fate. Pioshik and Beryl nearby. Again, trying to deny the effectiveness of this Rift Herald and maybe even stop it. The smite comes in, but it still gets the charge and ends up with about 12 health as it does slam the head in.
Teddy now with Guild Force. Even with that kill on him, still able to farm a lot. And the DRX now completely even, and their composition still has an incredible amount of power. I do think that when it comes to team fighting, a lot more well-rounded. But after what was honestly a pretty up and down series of matches, I can't help but think that this one is going to be exactly the same. Because when you look at these comps, both of them are very reliant on hitting a couple of key skill shots, right?
Yeah.
Are you going to hit your Fear Beyond Death and get a couple of people? Big Moonlight Vigil, is there going to be enough? But the setup for Kwangdong is a little better. The overall team fighting from DRX, I think, is stronger with things like the Cask and the Renata ultimate. That's Void.
Void is not scared of anything.
Get slammed into one another, but they're fine.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the key difference maker. I think Kwangdong have some extremely high impact ultimates that if they land them well, can give them the edge in the fight. But overall, the DRX composition is a little bit more foolproof. And we're going to probably see that play out over this next Drake. Both teams already, I think, very strong. Gonna get closer towards those first items.
Oh, Fate was on vision, but not quite able to land that one. Koshik, no flash. He's just about to get it right now, actually.
The Fate crucially has the flash, which means that any subsequent fights around that Drake might be just a little bit easier for the DRX backline.
Yeah, it's going to be a pretty nice pick here for DRX. They're also having Deft kind of solo down on the bottom side, getting plates right before the timer ends. So some extra value being squeezed out of that bottom lane. Yeah, I think it's really going to come down to that next Drake fight. And we also do have potential for a Cloud Soul this time around. So
I haven't had one yet. Gotta have one before the day ends.
We've avoided them for the majority of the day.
I kind of like Cloud Soul both these two teams. There's a lot of value to be found for Kingen, for Zeka, for Barrel, and then on the other hand for Keen, for Teddy, I guess to a certain extent if he does the classic Guild Force ult in trying to 1v9 people.
Could be a thing. Could be a thing.
I think it will be.
And another thing that might happen is a fight over this Rift Herald.
Oh, yeah.
You see that Deft and Barrel certainly are considering it.
Oh, turret on bot side at the risk of going down, and don't want to get up first turret blood here. If you are Kwangdong, DRX with a solid lead. Level 11 now also hit. That's going to mean level 2 on the perfect execution. Both side laners also have the TP, so they can join this top side fight. And Kwangdong comp at its best when it can pick someone off, either with Gideon Death or a Shadow Surge, and play it out from there.
Rift Herald started up here, but with a bit of a rotation, Teddy's going to be caught out with a lot of poke damage onto him. Kwangdong Freaks, you don't have to go all in on trying to
So, what are you saying?
Charge for this one.
What? I don't understand.
You don't have to fight.
They don't, actually.
Yeah, I mean, Keen's getting a turret by himself. This is Urgot, after all.
W Max Urgot.
Get that machine gun out. Zeka is, I don't think he knows who he's playing with right now.
They don't know about the crab?
Urgot does not care. He's still down here.
Has to care a little. There's 5-man rotating, or 4-man rotating down towards it. More poke, landing here.
It's a very even game as we stand. There is only the Mountain Drake for the lead for Kwangdong Freaks, then about 200 gold the lead for DRX. So Keen kind of just walking through. He's going to get kicked there, enough fail flash as well, and now he's just got to go forward. He's looking for the damage, but immediately just going to be executed, and the crab cares now because he's dead, and the Drake will go the way of DRX.
And after one of the nicest flashes that we saw with that topside 1v1, we are now traded to one of the more unfortunate flashes as Kwangdong. There you go, it's past 15 minutes. that's the issue. And they were already in the deficit, of course, but some uncharacteristic mistakes here. And now DRX are taking control of this game, and this is looking good for the 5-game angle, Veldas. That's really the big benefactor here, as Zeka's getting fed, and he has been extremely consistent on his Akali generally.
He's 5-0 so far in this split,
yeah.
So he knows his way around the Akali. We'll take another look at this, unfortunately for Keen. Yeah, I'll just walk through the river, through the enemy, and just join my team, and Bill just let me.
It was a bit greedy. And had he flashed, he would have been fine. Might have even hit a 50 on that. The team might have had time to respond. None of those things happened, and that is actually an incredibly important pick-off. Rage was looked for, but not found.
Getting a lot here is DRX. Just pushing in with that Rift Herald, able to get even the extra charge into that tier 2.
What is Flash? But not really fighting for anything here.
There's no objectives on the map, but it's after 15 minutes, so group in mid, find the enemy, and take fight.
5-man top.
You know they... No. I think they want to go to the mid lane.
Well, mid turret is relatively low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually not a bad spot to be in right now. I think,
No, it is a great spot. I'd agree with all this.
Group up.
Zeka is there, but should be fine. He is a Kali after all. Might have to invest.
Okay.
Bizarre, but no, not even necessary. Just rocket belts away. Pick off here.
Yeah, Kwangdong still roaming as a group, as Hoyt is unfortunately going to hook into the wall and then nearly die, so he has to flash away.
Oh, Teddy.
Okay, that is a pretty huge Moonlight Vigil, but there is 0 follow-up. Keen doesn't go in. Hoyt's not able to follow up on that one either.
If only he had Flash.
Yeah.
He doesn't.
And Koshik is behind them. So he's going to just get the kick on in here. A really nice setup play as Hoyt will now be berserked and Keen is trying to frontline. Not going to work out for them. A huge Blade Claw comes in for Deft as in he goes. He's going to get the bailout, but it will not get the reset. So Zeka will go down as well.
Crucial flash there. Teddy keeping himself alive, denying. No.
He's going for it. And he shouldn't have. Really nice follow-up. It seemed like they were all ready for that, and DRX just group up and are able to punish him once again.
Parts of this game I was very excited about. The Urgot and the Vex are both having a pretty bad time.
Yeah.
It is not great. We have seen our fair share of unfortunate scenarios, and we have also gone back to one of the earlier games where there's just action. Is there an objective? No. But that's not what we're about here. And crucially, Keen gets picked off there. Urgot tanky, but not a tank. And this is a subpar trade, but one that is acceptable. And there is the heal. And Barrel lives.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
We've seen that a couple of times now out of Fate, unfortunately.
Ooh, I wonder if Teddy's going for Guildful into Bloodthirster. It's looking like it right now. Do really like that into some of the poke that DRX have available. Shield can help with the Akali as well, but these roams, these continuous moves around the map from Kwangdong have an underlying tone of creeping desperation as they try to match a DRX that is always one step ahead of them. And it's just playing, I think, a little bit too clean.
Keen doesn't have teleport, so DRX know this, and there is vision on this objective.
Alum doesn't have flash.
They don't seem to care. Elm can't really get into the pit as he will be hand shook. That is going to be the end of that. The Berserk goes in, and Hoyt goes in as well as they're trying to fight now, but Teddy with a big Moonlight Vigil, but it's not quite going to be enough. That's a lot of damage on the Zeka, though, and there's the Fear Beyond Death. It finally comes in. The crab finally gets some value. Death is going to be forced to flash away. But at the end of the day, DRX still got Baron, and Fate is going to miss the follow-up Shadow Surge, so that will be the end of that.
2 for 2, but Baron going over. DRX getting another huge victory. Should also get them towards that Ocean Drake. And even with Big Fear Beyond Death, not quite enough. Ellen trying desperately to join here. Hoyt having a subpar game. Nice hook into Pioshik, but he doesn't really care. And the 100-0 looks like it should end the fight. But then the lockdown on Zeka is wonderful. And crucially, that Fear Beyond Death takes down Pioshik as well. And if this Shadow Surge, I don't even know if that Shadow Surge would have made a difference, and if they would or should have gone in.
Yeah.
He would have. It's more a question of should, as the Ocean Drake now taken by DRX. And
okay, Zeka is a Kali. So I love what Jonah Strong is trying to do, but Zeka will be just fine. Knows his way around the kit, and yeah, I mean, no objective once again, but this is a DRX on the prowl.
Oh, they're hunting.
They're
looking.
Hunting as Kingen flashes in, does get the cast, but a little bit lackluster on the engagement. Might not matter as they are so far ahead. The takedown does come in, and Kingen will survive. They force the engage, and they will get it. Teddy was not here, and that was enough for DRX to just pull the trigger.
And if it's an even game, if they have the ultimate from Keen immediately, then maybe they can do it, but DRX are forcing their leads in the best way possible. Beryl getting full value out of the Renata bailout as well, keeping his team alive. And I don't know how many times Teddy can play the assassin, stand around the corner and ult.
Okay, well.
Definitely one more time.
He does a lot of damage. Now he's got Keen. Oh, but the Q is going to land. Just waiting for the follow-up, and it is quick enough. Yoshik maybe a little bit too aggressive on this one, as, oh, mistimed on the flip. And so there will not be a follow-up on that. Teddy, though, will survive.
Crucially, Teddy survives at the same time. Valdas, the overall state of the game getting worse and worse, and DRX skirting the lines a little bit, but still remaining in firm control of this game. Leads are getting bigger and bigger, and this is a point where the Kwangdong comp, they have no choice but to fight. That is all what their comp does. That is all they can do. Barring specifically Fate, the wave clear is very short-ranged. A lot of the champions don't really do anything unless they can go in.
Boy.
Alan will be forced to flash.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he got the big chicken. Always look on the bright side.
Hashtag life goals. Just get the big chicken, and you'll be fine.
And I think the Fear Beyond Death actually went on to Yoshik there as opposed to King, and it was definitely low enough.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why the Fear didn't come through. Then the bailout saved Zeka. If I'm not mistaken, or was it King? Not 100% certain who was bailed out there in the end, but result stays the same. Gold graph getting bigger and bigger, and DRX, their comp skills very, very well, especially if you give them enough kills, right? Yoshik extremely far ahead. Deft having what feels like the first fun game of Xayah that he's allowed to play.
Yeah. Finally got one of those. You can see DRX, they're just grouping up in the bottom side. There's no Baron, there's no Dragon, so just trying to push their lead as much as possible. You know, you get a good cask, you get a pick off, could potentially lead to bigger things. You don't have to take a big risk by doing it. They're pushing their vision into the enemy jungle bit by bit as they go, so still going to be valuable. They're pushing through the top side jungle now, maybe looking for a rotation onto that top tier 2.
No way for Kwangdong to regain control of the map. And Hoyt, yeah, he definitely can't walk in there. No one can, that's the problem. And they will be able to establish just the slightest line of vision, but it's not enough. Side laning, not really an option here, as all of your lanes are very far behind. Keen waiting in base for an item that hopefully is going to finish soon, because even without Baron buff, his team is getting pushed in.
He wants to teleport to the top side, and he will do it.
Deep one.
Yeah. He goes in. Okay, which angle will he approach from? Oh, Depth! Oh, Depth! He's going to get the ult out of him already. But the front line, okay, he's going to flip Beryl over the back now, as in goes Zeka onto the back line there, but they get the shutdown, the Fear Beyond Death. The Fear goes on to Pyosik only. But now Pyosik going in. Fate is going to fight front to back and survive, but Zeka is taking names. As in goes Fate again. Going to take down another one, and Teddy's got some position here, but so does Depth, and Zeka is still alive. As Fate, not going to hit that time. Keen is so low. What an intense and close fight, as both teams will survive with 3 members.
And by the end of it, nothing has really changed. We got a great fight out of it.
Oh, they're going to try to do Baron.
Oh my god.
And, I mean, there's no vision.
They don't know.
Right?
No, they have no idea.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Just trying to have Teddy tank it up with Red Gun, and Keen has got some shields. And Depth is, I mean, he's walking through, and there are some pings onto it. Okay,
they know. They
know now, as Zeka, yep, that's going to be the end of Keen, and Teddy now trying to go. Where did he go? Jeez. Down he gets burst, and that might just do it. I mean, DRX will be able to pick up this Baron now for sure.
It was a good Hail Mary, but a Hail Mary nonetheless, and DRX earned that lead this game. Off the back of Pyosik having, I think, the best early game that we've seen him had. Basically, this entire series, really running over Kwangdong as they do opting into few fights too many in the 1v1.
You don't say.
Yeah, and you know what, Feldas? That means that we're going
To a game 5.
to that game number 5.
Going to a game 5 in this series. It's the way it was meant to be. And, I mean, you can see, I mean, this is another kind of Hail Mary, a really nice back teleport and flank from Keen.
What I love here is that Deft also doesn't path towards the part of the jungle where he doesn't have vision, but he paths upwards where they have vision and he has teammates. Not to walk randomly into what clearly was a nice and relatively successful teleport here. And had Fate hit that Shadow Surge, something that we've said multiple times throughout this game. There might have been a different story. And yeah, this was a Hail Mary, but not one that worked. And yeah, that's so it's second activation E and Q. And that ends the Aphelios. Unfortunately.
Yeah. He did not survive for very long on that one. As, yeah, I mean, Teddy, he's still doing a lot of damage, but it feels kind of like a one-man army at this point. Like, there has been a bit of shenanigans from Fate. You know, he's trying to get some of those shutdowns in the crazy fights. But I think, you know, Teddy, if he's got some range on some of the guns, perhaps, maybe, but this push is just so devastating right now. It's going to be 2 turrets that go down.
Yeah, it's just not enough. The Infinity Edge isn't there, the damage isn't there, and I'm pretty sure Guangdong are just going to get shoved in here, despite their early opportunities. Caught a couple of times where they shouldn't have been, and now DRX pushing for the win here.
It might just be enough. Teddy's back. He's trying to hold on with the Infernum. But they're just sieging on it with the Baron, and they're letting the minions do the work. That is the safest way to pull it off. As the ult comes in from Deft, they do fight it front to back, and the Feather Storm is going to be enough. Another fantastic cast does come in here as Kingin is going to shut down the 200 years. And we will be going to a game number 5 in this series, of course, as the prophecy has determined in this one between these two teams. They're playing with their food. They're trying to make them feel bad before the end of this game, but it might not matter. Fate flashing forward, and he will not go down. That's going to be the end of game 4. We